Welcome in. It's the Ticket Puncher Show. Once again, coming in to fill in for our man Roman Kelly. He's out in Midway doing his Midway basketball duties, but that's okay. We're gonna chill out here. I'm gonna chill out here with my man Curtis Phillips. I know JR is gonna probably be able to jump in here in just a little bit to get the show going. Curtis, how you doing, my man?
Doing good. How you doing, Matt? Good to have you here again.
Can't complain. It's been a good time. I always enjoy coming on with you guys. You guys added me to the group chat today. I appreciate that. Feeling the love from the Ticket Punchers team. I want to go ahead and start this off let's just go ahead and get the elephant out of the room. Indiana football, I mean, they get it done. The biggest story in college football history, in my opinion. Curt Cignetti has cemented himself in the college football legend. I mean, I said we as if I'm a part of the team. Curt Cignetti took the team, one of the losingest programs in the history of college football, to the pinnacle, to the heights that we all dream of achieving at some point, and did it in dominant fashion leading up all the way up until this game and for the first half of this game. Before we get into anybody's picks or anything, what was your initial thought watching this game? How were you feeling going from the first half into the second half? How did you think about the game? Where do you think it was going to go? And what was your initial pick when you guys talked about the other day?
Yeah, so initially, the first half, how Indiana started off, it's probably how a lot of us imagine if we was on Indiana's side. Wasn't committing any turnovers. Miami couldn't get any offense rolling. Indiana wasn't hurting themselves. And then we kind of saw that shift in the second half. Miami had a few explosive runs, passes to get themselves back into the game. And then this just turned out to be a fascinating championship game to watch. Carson Beck, obviously at the end threw that pick, but for most of the game was kind of rattled. And I was a little surprised that, well, I guess not surprised because that Miami defense has played well, all season. But they disrupted Mendoza a little bit, probably a few missed penalty calls against him, but they disrupted him a little bit. But nonetheless, they played Indiana football. Kirk Signetti, like you said, just a legend, and his memes are great. Those faces he make, like it's
Every
great to
single
watch.
time there was like a questionable call or a questionable play, it could be a dumb false start, or
Uh,
maybe Mendoza got hit a little late or something. It would always pan over to Kurt Signetti and making this. I don't even know how to describe the face. It just looked
yeah,
like whenever if you were playing like high school sports and you made a dumb play, maybe you bricked an open layup or something, and you look over at your
uh,
dad in the crowd. You know what I mean? Like it's
yeah,
just disappointment, and
uh,
I feel like that speaks to Kurt Signetti's personality as a head coach in general of how disciplined these guys are. You almost have the feeling when you're playing out there is like, I don't want this. I don't want to upset my dad. I don't have to deal with that man coming off the bench. Like, I
yeah,
know he's ripping into those dudes. I know that that place is run like a military camp. And I think that just goes into show that Kurt Signetti is kind of, we're looking at Indiana football and Kurt Signetti as if you're a fan of a college football team that is on the brink, I feel like, of really great success of making that college football playoff. If you're a Louisville fan, you're definitely one of those. You look at IU as the template. You say, hey, one of us around the country, whether you're Oregon, whether you're Ohio State, whether you're Alabama, whether you're Louisville, whatever team you're a fan of, you have just as much financial resources as a team like Indiana does. You also have really great coaching. Why can't we do this? And I think that just goes to show that college football, the landscape of the sport, is in such a interesting time right now in terms of you want to use them as the blueprint of your university going forward or your program going forward. But if you also look at it as like how much of this can come down to, well, we just give our team more money. We just go out and at what point does this become almost like an NBA coaching cycle where, okay, you had 1.5 okay seasons, you're done. We got to move on. We got to find somebody else. Do we think that moving forward, we're going to start seeing college football and college basketball together get to that professional level where you're just losing opportunities? Your coaching cycle, your coaching life, or your shelf life as a coach for a team shortens, and you start seeing a lot more roster turnover, a lot more coaching turnover.
yeah. We've seen it in all sports recently. Like it's a short leash, so a lot of teams and owners are expecting instant success. So I think that's just the new time zone we're in pretty much all sports. So you just got to get that roster going like right away. But yeah, that seems like the point we're at in most sports nowadays. So
It's a definitely weird area. I want to get on it. I want to ask you because I haven't talked to you guys since we got to the AFC and NFC matchups this weekend. I know your Bears went down. Unfortunately, I was watching that game and I was honestly thinking about you, man. I was like, there is no way Caleb Williams gets away with this again. There's no way they pull this out again. An absolute blown coverage from Durant that just gives up the wide open touchdown. Caleb Williams had to throw it off his back foot. An incredible play in which you thought, it's over. They've done it. They forced overtime. Matthew Stafford, hasn't looked great in this game. Not amazing. Neither team really got a foothold in it. I know it's a snow game in a really cold Chicago. We kind of knew that was going to be the play here. How did you feel? What were your reactions to after seeing the touchdown to tie it, to basically send it to overtime, to going into overtime? What was your confidence level?
yeah, as you expect, when I saw the throw, didn't really know what to think. I just see the ball in the air. I don't see the receivers on the screen yet due to the camera angle. And then I see Cole Kmet come down with it. And then my first initial thought, I'm wondering if we're gonna go for two. I agree with going for one. We did the same thing in the Packers game just a few weeks back. So we have been stopping Stafford and the Rams offense all game. So I'm not mad at, not going for two right there. So I'm glad that we tied it up. And yeah, right away, I'm like, okay, we're about to go win this now. I'm sitting with my buddies and I'm like, it's time to win now. And then we stop them on that first drive of overtime. So then I'm feeling more and more confident, and we're driving the ball down about 15 to 20 yards until we're into Santos' range. And I just, obviously, DJ Moore didn't give much effort on that route, but I didn't like the play calling pretty much all game. That was our game to lose. We had plenty of chances to win that game. Got stopped inside the red zone. We twice that game. I wanted to kick the field goal to start the game. Just I feel like we was a little bit over going down the stretch there. So that was a tough way to lose when you feel like when you hold the Rams to under 17 points before inflation, you feel like you have a great chance of winning that game. You had really held them to that 17-point mark. So that was a very tough loss. I feel like we should still be playing next week, but it is what it is. We had a great season. This was the most fun I had watching the Bears in my entire life. So I can't hang my head. So we'll see what we do moving forward. We have the roster to do it, the coaching personnel now. So, yeah.
No, I feel that. It was a great game to watch. It was like even if you were a fan looking outside in. My girlfriend is like the basic non-sports girlfriend. She doesn't really enjoy it. She watches it because I'm watching it, and she'll comment on it. I was playing the game with my friends. I was playing a little 2K with my friends, having a good time watching the game on the side. And she is just hanging out in the background looking at her phone. And all I hear is her go, "This is a good game." And I was like, what? And I turn around, and she is locked in, like not blinking, to this Bears-Rams game. And that should tell you something about how fun this game was to watch. It was kind of similar to the first half of the Indiana-Miami game, where it wasn't, even though it wasn't high scoring, it was never boring at any point. You generally saw these two defenses going back and forth, which was a question for the Bears going into the offseason is, can this Bears defense, really get stops instead of having to just outscore? Can they put up 35 every game, or can they genuinely get stops and slow a team down to where they can win that methodical football game you need in the playoffs? And it was exciting. I picked the Bears before the game. I really felt that they were going to put some pressure on Matthew Stafford. I knew that environment was going to be electric. I can't imagine what it would be to be a Bears fan watching that. I know it had to be amazing. It had to be monumental for the city itself and for the organization itself. My question for you, before we get into some of your picks over the weekend, how do you feel? Obviously, I know you feel probably pretty positive. What's your confidence level with Ben Johnson as a coach moving forward? And do you think that the Bears have a really good opportunity to build off of this?
My confidence out the roof. I want to see us get a little bit aggressive, kind of with the Dan that if it's within 3 yards, you're going for it. So I'd like to see a little bit more feel so aggressive take, but what he's done to transform this team, I have all the confidence in the world. In just 1 year, we go from last to first. This was truly one of the best Bears teams I've seen in a while. So the fact that he's built a culture already in really less than 1 year, whole full year, that speaks volumes to who he is. And Caleb, he took like 30 less sacks this season. So that tells you a lot right there as well. So I think we can definitely build off of it. And we're going to be a team to be reckoned with in the future.
I'm excited to watch them. I felt last season the Bears were just like, I felt like one or two missing pieces from being great. You saw some Caleb Williams highlights, you saw some lowlights. A lot of those you can put on offensive line issues, maybe some coaching issues. And you really felt like during this season, the Bears were just like the team of destiny. I compare them to last year's Pacers team in the NBA playoffs. Like you were just like, this team is destined to get where they want to go. They're going to fight other fans would look outside in and say they can't keep getting away with this. Something has to trip them up, and they just never did. And I love that the Bears had a really good chance in overtime. Like you said, DJ Moore probably could have put a little bit more effort in that attempt, but things happen. One play doesn't go your way, doesn't determine the whole scale of the game, and the Bears look great moving forward. And it's going to be exciting to watch them. But so looking at that weekend, looking at the AFC and the NFC playoff situation, what punches did you have, and how did they go?
Yeah, so in terms of the weekend, we started off 2-0 with Friday's punches. Jalen Tyson's over points and rebounds. I believe that was at 18.5, and he just exploded Friday. I believe he had like 39 points, so that cashed easy. DePaul minus 3.5. They ended up coming back to cover slightly over Marquette. And then the NFL slate happened, and we went to 0-3. Didn't cash Cal Juszczyk's receptions. It was over 1.5. He finished with 1. CMC got a little banged up. We had his rushing and receiving over. He finished with like 74. We had over 110.5. That game was pretty ugly. And then we had Drake May's rushing yards which he didn't have to rush with all the turnovers that Stroud handed to him.
As a Patriots fan, that was not a fun game to watch. That was horrible.
So my buddy's a Patriots fan as well, and he felt like y'all could capitalize more off the turnover. So how did you feel as a Patriots fan? Like, even though that y'all won, that y'all probably could have put a little bit more points up.
Oh, it was one of the most frustrating football games I've had to watch, not even just as a Patriots fan, just in general, because you force 5 turnovers. You give C.J. Stroud his worst game of the season, coming off of a 4-turnover game that you thought that was going to be his worst game. And we just, like you said, we just couldn't capitalize. I kept putting myself in the shoes of a Texans fan of how frustrated I would be, knowing that our defense is this good that the Patriots cannot pull away. But then C.J. Stroud just shoots us in the foot over and over and over again. So when I was watching it, yes, I was happy to get the win. I think at the end of the day, I was happy with how they played. They overcame the adversity of Drake May didn't have his best night. I think he had 4 fumbles, lost 2 of them. You never want to see your quarterback go through that or have that situation. But the positive side is they won't see a rushing attack like they did against the Texans again in this playoffs. Even if you make the Super Bowl, you do have to play. You'll probably play against Seattle, if I would have to guess, which is, I think the best defense in the NFL, but they don't have a Texans rushing attack. The Broncos missing Bo Nix, you have a really good chance there, but it was definitely one that I didn't enjoy watching as a fan. I was more or less upset almost the whole time until it was over. I do know that I think you said you do have to get out of here at 5:45, correct?
Yeah, we can probably go a little bit longer just so you're not staggering on by yourself. So yeah.
You're good. If you gotta go, you can go. I was gonna say we can go ahead and do your all's punches for the night if you want to go ahead and get over them, or at least you can give yours out and I can give Roman's later on.
Okay, I'll go ahead and drop them. That's fine. Yeah. So first, I'll drop the college basketball play. Georgia on the road against Mizzou, and although they're the highest scoring team in the whole entire nation, I'm going to take their team total under 82.5 at minus 116. Since they've gotten to the SEC play, both games they played on the road, they're under this. And Missouri, they're the number 1 2-point defense in the entire SEC. Although both of these teams play at a high pace, I don't see Georgia getting to 83 points tonight. So that will be my first official punch. And then we'll go to the NBA. The Raptors on the road at Golden State. I like Scotty Barnes over 29.5 points and rebounds. I didn't know just a few weeks ago, this man had 23 points and 25 rebounds against this Golden State team. Jimmy Butler out now. A lot of physicality out, for them. And he's went over this 3 straight games versus the Warriors, and he's over this in 3 of his last 4 games overall. So I think he can get the 30 points and rebounds easy tonight. And in our last official punch, we have Jabari Smith over 6.5 rebounds at minus 102. He's over in 5 of his last 6 games, over in 4 of his last 5 versus the San Antonio Spurs. And then in the last 7, the Spurs are giving up the 3rd most rebounds to power forwards. So I really like this look. And then from our triple punch, we're actually going to fade Jabari Smith on the points. Because in his last 5, he's only averaging 10 points per game, and his line's at 15.5. He's had some recent success, but against the Spurs, he's 5-0 to this prop in his last 5 games. So I don't think he gets the 16 points tonight. So that will be my triple punch.
So you're taking his under, was it 15.5?
Yep, under 15.5 points for my triple punch, sir.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you for coming on, Curtis, helping me out. I hope you have a good night. I hope you're able to get to what you guys need to get to. And like I said, I appreciate you coming on. Hopefully I get to come on with you guys here soon.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, Madden. Actually, give me a couple minutes and I can hop back on with you. Yeah.
Okay. If you can do that, just let me know. Text me. I'll add you back in here. No problem. Well, I appreciate you, Curtis. Like I said, that was our boy Curtis Phillips, Philly Picks. That man, had a good time talking to him and JR recently. Hopefully I can get on this show a little more often. I got his triple punch down, therefore I can give it out to Roman. I got Roman's picks. I will give those out at the end of the show. Right now, I want to go over some of the news going across the sports landscape here on the show. One being a really large piece of news, and the fact that Jimmy Butler is out for the season. He's done. ACL injury. The Warriors, in my opinion, had been picking up quite a bit of steam moving forward. And I really, a lot of that comes on the back of Jimmy Butler. We saw what he did last season for the Warriors and really getting that team turned around. It's going to be on Steph now. It's going to be on Steph. It's going to be on Draymond. It's going to be tough. We're really going to see that, a Steph Curry, who the greatest shooter in the NBA history, one of the guys who, the dude changed basketball forever. You see the memes on Twitter all the time of, it'll be like an 11-year-old pulling up from half court and then doing like shaking his hips as a celebration. And the caption is always, what happened to my game? What happened to the game I love? Why did Steph Curry do this to us? You cannot blame the man's legacy. He has done the unbelievable year in and year out. My favorite Steph Curry memory, at least one of them, is in the last Olympics. Steph Curry just taking those last 2 games and on himself and then hitting the night celly. Watching your favorite players play all together is so much fun, especially when it works out to that extent. You always think about back in the day, like the Dream Team and the Redeem Team. You sit here and you think that can't happen these days. There's no way. There's too many divas. There's too much money circulating. These guys don't want to play. They're opting out. It's not worth it for them. But they went out and showed that it is worth it. And Steph Curry, my gosh, my man really put the team on his back multiple times and got the job done. But little key piece of information I wanted to point out there. If anybody's out there betting on the Warriors right now, I would be wary of it. Be careful. Steph Curry not being out. Jimmy Butler being out, that's a huge facilitator, especially at the 3 and 4 spot. The Jimmy Butler can really give you some assistance there. Hopefully, we're able to see him back. I know he's out for the season. Hopefully next season, hopefully he can bounce back. But I want to look at the NBA slate for tonight. We got Suns versus 76ers. Philly is -1.5 on some sites. I've seen some other ones where the Suns are actually -1.5, so it's technically kind of a pick 'em. But I feel like that's a really low line for the situation. I do believe the 76ers are better than the Suns, but Joel Embiid is out. Joel Embiid is also not playing. That was announced a couple hours ago. So that line is very interesting for me, at least right there. And then you have Spurs-Rockets tonight. That game is being played in Houston. Houston's a 4.5-point favorite in that matchup. Both of these teams, the Spurs are on a 3-game winning streak right now. The Rockets are on a 2-game winning streak right now. They both have some similar opponents. Both of them beat the New Orleans Pelicans, but then they also both lost to the Thunder. These are 2 teams that I really can't get a grasp on. I constantly go back and forth of which of these teams can really make it out of the West, which team can really compete against the Thunder, at least most competitively. I lean towards the Rockets. I think the Rockets have a more sound team, but they are still just missing that guard position. They're missing that main facilitator. Amin Thompson is, doing a fantastic job on the defensive end. And they're limiting points to some of these really great teams, but they've also succumbed to when they play really great teams, such as the Thunder, who have great defenses, or the Raptors. They struggle to score. They struggle to score sometimes. It looks like their offensive identity isn't really there right now. They're not really getting the output of some of these players they want. So we're going to see tonight, can the Rockets handle the Spurs at home? Wemby will be playing. Kevin Durant will be playing. The only person of notoriety that is out in this game is Steven Adams. That is going to not bode well for the rebounding aspect for the Rockets. That is a really long team in general, so it won't necessarily kill them. But Steven Adams, I mean, that's really what you're bringing him in there for. You're bringing him in there to lock down the paint and crash the boards, so they will be missing him on that end. Next game on the list, Lakers versus Nuggets. This is the one that I actually took as a Big X big bet today. This is I took the Lakers -2.5 spread. Normally, I would take the Nuggets in this situation, but my God, the Nuggets have nobody playing. I mean, I was looking into these games today and was completely blown away by the limitations that this team is going to be playing with tonight. There's no Jokic, no Tim Hardaway Jr., no Aaron Gordon, and Jamal Murray. There's no Jokic, but Tim Hardaway Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Jamal Murray are all game time decisions. So maybe by the time we've been doing these shows, that's changed. I haven't had the opportunity to look it up right now, but that might be different now. I still like Lakers -2.5. The only player they're missing is Austin Reeves. I do know that. I do get that's a facilitator, but then again, you still have Luka. I mean, any team with Luka and LeBron on the same team, that's a team that I'm willing to bet on. Luka's looked pretty great this season. I think he's been one of the few shining lights that have really helped the Lakers come in and be a pretty decent force in the West. I think they've impressed Roman, at least. They've impressed me just a little bit. They've had their ups and downs, but, you know, they're figuring it out. They're getting there. They're getting there. We'll figure that out. My man Curtis Phillips is back. We'll bring him in. Curtis, welcome back. Glad you were able to come in and join us for the last couple of minutes.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I was just going over some of the matchups in the NBA tonight. The next one I was going to go over was Raptors and Warriors. Golden State is a 3.5-point favorite in this game. The Raptors are missing Chucky Hepburn, R.J. Barrett, Jakob Poeltl, Jacob Walter, and I had another one written down, but I forgot. Al Horford and Draymond Green are both game time decisions, and Jimmy Butler is now, as we know, out for the season due to an ACL injury. Do you like this line for Golden State? Or do you think that the Raptors are missing too many guys, or do you think that Jimmy Butler, him being out, is going to weigh too much on at least Golden State on the defensive end that the Raptors are going to have a chance in this game?
Yeah, I honestly like the Raptors to pull off the mini upset. I feel like this line should be more at around even. I think with Raptors getting Emmanuel Quickly back, that gives them another score, a guy that can score at any time. And I don't think this Golden State team is going to have anybody for Scottie Barnes or Brandon Ingram. I do think Warriors without Jimmy Butler, that's going to be a tough guy to replace right there. He brings a lot of physicality. Obviously, he can score. He can do anything for you. As I know from being a Miami Heat fan, he does everything for you on the floor. So I think that's a huge loss for Golden State. And I'm not sure if they'll even get in a play-in at this point. So I like the Raptors to get the upset, honestly.
Yeah, I think the Raptors are, one, just too heavily defensively for a team like Golden State. I think that's going to weigh heavily in this game. Before I give Roman's picks out, we're coming towards the end of the show here. Besides that game, is there any games tonight on the NBA slate you're looking forward to?
I think the Suns and 76ers should be a really good matchup.
Joel Embiid's out as well.
Yeah, Joel Embiid's out. Paul George currently is questionable. I mean, both of those guys seems like they're questionable each game. So
yeah,
you don't know if he's going to play or not. I think he's leaning towards playing, though. But Jalen Green, he's coming back. He's only played one full game all season. So curious to see how that goes. They're both on a back-to-back. I saw 76ers are 7-0 against the spread on back-to-back. So I was leaning towards them. But I like this Suns team. They've surprised me all season, really. And curious to see how Jalen Green comes out. In his only game, he played only 23 minutes, but he got his shots up. He had 20 shot attempts that game, ended with 29 points. So that's catching my eye right there.
That'll be a good game. I think, Joel Embiid being out definitely changes at least the flow of that game, especially. I have seen that some places have the 76ers as -1.5. I saw some that have the Suns as -1.5, so I just call it basically a pick 'em at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get out of here, I'll go ahead and give Roman's picks out. He's taking, for college basketball, he's taking Oklahoma -1.5 at South Carolina. He's also taken the Houston Rockets money line playing against the San Antonio Spurs. He's taking Devin Booker plus 25 points tonight against the Philadelphia 76ers. And then his triple punch play for the night is going to be Brandon Pajemski's over 11.5 points against the Toronto Raptors. I appreciate you coming back for the end of this, Curtis. I appreciate you sitting here talking to me. It's always been fun. Hopefully, like I said, I can get on here a little bit more with you guys. But this has been the Ticket Punchers. Hopefully, you guys had a fun time listening, and I'll see you guys back. Let's go punch those tickets.
Punch those tickets. Appreciate you, Matt.
No problem. See you, Curtis.
See ya.
If you've been hurt in a car accident or hurt on the job, there's only one law firm to call. Call my friend Tony at the